How do Medicare Advantage plans work while traveling? Let's talk about it. My name is Colin Watsonville, and I've personally helped over 1,000 people find the best Medicare coverage for their specific needs. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a specific type of Medicare product, specifically Medicare Advantage. And maybe you're watching this because you heard a story from a family or friend, maybe you read an article online. Regardless of why you're here, please sit back and let me teach you how Medicare Advantage plans work while you are traveling. This is especially relevant to the part of the country where I am living, because in my part of the country it gets very cold during a certain time of the year, and a lot of people like to move away and go south for the winter. Maybe they're going to Arizona or renting an Airbnb in Florida for a couple months during the winter time, and they are very worried about getting onto a Medicare Advantage plan because they know that Medicare Advantage plans have networks, whereas traditional Medicare with a Medicare supplement, you don't have to worry about networks. As long as you go to a doctor that accepts Medicare, then you are covered. Whereas again, with a Medicare Advantage plan, you have to be careful and make sure you are staying within network. Now, it's important to note what exactly that means, and here's the kicker. The Medicare Advantage plan network is really only usually referring to the plan's service area. So let's say you live in Douglas County. If you live in Douglas County and you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you have to make sure that the network of doctors that you are going to fit within the network of the plan in that specific service area, in that county. Now, if you go outside of that county, maybe just a couple counties over, or maybe a few states over, then the network of your Medicare Advantage plan actually does not really apply in the way that you think it applies. The in-network versus out-of-network, again, is usually just referring to the specific service area, which is usually a county or two or a handful of counties where your home address is located. Now, I know that's kind of confusing, so let me try to break it down a little bit better here. So let's say, again, you live in Douglas County, and maybe there's 4 or 5 surrounding counties from Douglas County where insurance company A offers a particular Medicare Advantage plan. So that means that Advantage plan's service area is those 5-6 counties in that state that you're living in. And so then again, if you are traveling outside of that county radius, outside of those handful of counties that your Medicare plan is offered in, you are not necessarily out of network now. Now you're completely out of the plan service area. And this is where the nuance happens. If you are outside of the plan's service area, then most Medicare Advantage plans, I don't want to say most, I guess a lot of Medicare Advantage plans, especially from the national carriers, the national insurance companies, the big guys, they will have what's called travel benefits. So you're outside of your plan's service area, you're no longer in that 6 or so county area that particular Medicare Advantage plan is offered, you're now outside. Maybe you're further west in your state, or maybe you're in a whole different state, right? You're no longer in that service area. I want to hit home with that. Once you are outside of that service area, now you're not necessarily just what's called out of network. Now the travel benefits of your Medicare Advantage plan kick in. And what that means is as long as you can find a provider in that area, in that county or that new state that you're in, that accepts the equivalent Medicare Advantage network that's offered in your home county, then you actually get out-of-network services, out-of-network care at an in-network price. So simply put, your Medicare Advantage plan that you're on is offered in 6 counties, in a little circle, for example. And you are now somewhere outside of that 6-county radius. You are a couple counties over, or a different county in a whole nother state. If you're outside of the service area of your Medicare Advantage plan, the network of that Medicare Advantage plan really doesn't apply, because now that plan is not even offered in this new location that you are currently residing in temporarily. You know, again, maybe it's Florida or Arizona for the winter. So if your Medicare Advantage plan is not offered in the location that you are in, then the network for that plan doesn't apply, because the network is localized to the radius, the area that the Advantage plan is offered in. And so if you are in a spot where your Medicare Advantage plan in particular is not offered, then you hope that your plan has travel benefits, which again, a lot of them do, and that way you can still receive care from a provider at an in-network rate as long as they accept the national network of Advantage plans for your particular company. So let's take it home. Medicare Advantage plans are offered in different locations. The one that we're talking about, for example, is offered within a 6-county radius. If you're in that 6-county radius, that is when the network for your Medicare Advantage plan applies. If you go outside of that 6-county radius, maybe a couple counties over or an entirely new state, then you are not in or out of network. Think about it as a whole separate deal, a whole separate thing. If you're outside of the plan's service area, that is when, if your plan offers it, the travel benefits for your Medicare Advantage plan kick in. And so if you are going to a provider in the location outside of the service area of your plan, then as long as that provider accepts the same or equivalent network for your particular company's Medicare Advantage network in that location, in that county, in that state, then you will be covered outside of your plan's service area at an in-network rate. So in other words, if you are one of those snowbirds that we talked about, you live in the Midwest, but then you go south for the winter and you are going to a bigger metropolitan area especially, and you have a national insurance company for your Medicare Advantage plan, realistically, you probably don't have to worry about being out of network or being out of the service area. Because again, even though you are traveling and you are outside of the area that your particular Medicare Advantage plan serves, if you're with a big company, they offer Medicare Advantage plans wherever you're vacationing, wherever you're summering or wintering. And so as long as you find a provider that accepts one of the Medicare Advantage networks that your insurance carrier offers in this location that you're vacationing to, then you will be still covered at an in-network rate. And it's important to note really quick here that this applies even if you have an HMO Medicare Advantage plan. People are kind of afraid of that 3-letter abbreviation HMO and think that they have no coverage out of network. But again, the network radius is referring to the plan's service area. So if you're outside of that plan's service area, even if you have an HMO plan, if your Medicare Advantage plan has travel benefits, then you can actually have coverage technically out of network when you're outside of your plan's service area. So again, even HMO Medicare Advantage plans do have these travel benefits a lot of the times so that you can go on vacation for a week or a few months and still be covered at an in-network rate, even though you have an HMO plan, a big scary HMO plan. I hope that cleared some things up regarding traveling with a Medicare Advantage plan. Again, long story short, especially if you're going to a bigger metropolitan area and you have a national insurance company for your Medicare Advantage plan, you realistically probably have nothing to worry about, and you'll probably have no issues still being covered at an in-network rate no matter where you are traveling to. If you have any other questions about this topic, please reach out. Once again, my name's Colin Watsonville. If you enjoyed content like this, then hit the like button, maybe consider subscribing, share it with a family or friend, or even just follow us on your favorite social media platform. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.